Alright, welcome back everyone for another video. So I am super excited to say that both Genesis and John are on the exact same chapter. So I am on chapter 8 of both of them. I am caught up and I will be doing both studies today and then continuing on to chapter 9 next week. Super awesome. So since Genesis 8 is actually really short, there's only 19 verses in it, I will just go ahead and read chapter 8 and then go ahead and get into the actual study of it. So chapter 8 is all about the flood subsiding and then the beginning covenant with Noah. But God remembered Noah and all the beasts and all the livestock that were with him in the ark. And God made a wind blow over the earth, and the water subsided. The fountains of the deep and the windows of the heavens were closed. The rain from the heavens were restrained, and the waters receded from the earth continually. At the end of 150 days, the waters had abated, and in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. And the waters continued to abate until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the first day of the month, the tops of the mountains were seen. At the end of the 40 days, Noah opened the window of the ark that he had made and sent forth a raven. It went to and fro until the waters were dried up from the earth. Then he sent forth a dove from him to see if the waters had subsided from the face of the ground. But the dove found no place to set her foot, and she returned to him to the ark, for the waters were still on the face of the whole earth. So he put out his hand and took her and brought her into the ark with him. He waited another 7 days, and again he sent forth the dove out of the ark. And the dove came back to him in the evening, and behold, her mouth was a freshly plucked olive leaf. So Noah knew that the waters had subsided from the earth. Then he waited another 7 days and sent forth the dove, and she did not return to him anymore. In the 601st year, in the 1st month, the first day of the month, the waters were dried off the earth, and Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. In the 2nd month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth had dried out. Then God said to Noah, "Go out from the ark, you and your wife and your sons' wives with you. Bring out with you every living thing that is with you of all flesh, birds and animals, and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, that they may swarm on the earth and be fruitful and multiply on the earth." So Noah went out, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him. Every beast, every creeping thing, every bird, everything that moves on the earth went out by the families from the earth. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord and took some of every clean animal and some of every clean bird and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And when the Lord smelled the pleasing aroma, the Lord said in his heart, "I will never again curse the ground because of man, for the intention of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I ever strike down every living creature as I have done, while the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease." Alright, so that is chapter 8. Simple, straightforward, to the point. I mean, this video would probably be maybe 10 minutes long, 15 at the most, because it's literally very straightforward to the point of what it is trying to say. So the first thing I want to kind of point out is the word remembered. So when he said that, it didn't mean that God forgot about Noah. It is just basically saying that he is now turning his attention to Noah and kind of remembering that he had set. So yeah, my son decided to flip the switch out there and I had to return it back on. Anyways, I'm saying it's not, like I said, it's not the fact that God forgot. Excuse me. It's not that he forgot about Noah and everyone else in the ark and all the animals. It is simply that he was focused on the flood and doing what he was doing, that he turned his attention from that back to Noah. So that is all it's simply saying. Okay. So obviously, as it continues going on, the waters are receding. The ark rested on Mount Ararat, and over time, the waters continued to recede. Eventually, the tops of the mountains were able to be seen, and this is just another further indication that it was a worldwide flood instead of just, well, the mountains are extremely tall, they're really high, so it is just simply pointing out that, hey, this was a worldwide flood and not just kind of like what people call a tsunami now. It was not just a section of the earth, but a worldwide flood. So after 158 days on the being completely sealed up, Noah then decides to open the window, and he sends out a raven. Now, if you don't know a whole lot about ravens, well, ravens are scavengers, okay? He sent out a raven. It did not return because the raven tends to feed on carcasses. So more than likely, it rested on a carcass that was kind of just floating in the water, and went from carcass to carcass, feeding on off the carcasses. But then Noah sends out a dove, and the first time the dove doesn't have any place to set its foot at. Second time he sends it out a week later. The dove comes back with a freshly plucked olive leaf in her mouth. And, well, if you Google Christianity, okay, and I don't mean this to be offensive, if you take out the cross and you take out any and all pictures of Jesus, the next thing you're left with is a dove with its with an olive, basically a little leaf in its mouth, and that has become a symbol of being of the whole Christianity faith. And it's simply because of this. As you go further into the rest of the Bible, the dove does make further appearances, like in John. Like I literally just did John 7 last week, and I think 7 was the, let me take a look, I believe 7 was the baptism of Jesus. Or maybe it was 6. It was either 6 or 7, one of the two. I can't remember exactly. And I know, oh wait, no, it was not. I beg your pardon, it was Matthew 3. Matthew 3 goes into the baptism of Jesus, and when Jesus comes up out of the water, the heavens open, God sends down the Holy Spirit in the form of a dove onto Jesus' shoulder to prove the fact that, hey, his baptism is not a normal baptism, and that he is the Son of God. So the dove does become a very big symbolism of Christianity, of the Holy Spirit, and it goes throughout the rest of the book. The Bible book. So Genesis here is just one example of the dove. Matthew is the other example of a dove. So, like I said, the dove goes out a second time, comes back with the olive branch. Then a week later he sends the dove out again, and the bird does not return. Okay. The reason why it didn't return, obviously, is because it found somewhere to kind of live, I guess. There's no reason for it to come back anymore, because there's trees, there's places for it to rest its foot at. Now, the reason why I also point towards the dove part is specifically because the Blue Letter Bible, if you guys have not heard of it, it is a website I use quite regularly. So yeah, the Blue Letter Bible is something I use quite regularly when I do my studies, actually. So on my tablet here, oops, if I can actually pull it up real quick. So yeah, there's my Google, my well, it's loading, but see, there's my Google, my website here, and geez, if I can actually get it to show you guys. So, I mean, I know it's a glare. I can't actually show it to you directly. You guys can kind of see, but this is the website I'm talking about, where I use the Blue Letter Bible, and it is always pulled up on my tablet. I have one for Matthew, I have one for Genesis, and I have one for John as well. I will try my best to read through the chapter first, and actually understand what I'm reading first and foremost. But if for some reason I can't just absolutely, just for the life of me, figure out what it is. Why is you not working, you stupid tablet? Oh, you stupid. Here we go. So yeah, so if for some reason, like I said, I just cannot absolutely figure it out, then I will go to Blue Letter Bible and see what certain things mean. And that is just Blue Letter Bible here, and as I keep saying, is where I kind of got this example from in relation to this specific verse here. First off, we already know the earth, the world, is completely corrupted and completely vile, and we are literally trying to make some kind of difference in the world as Christians, okay? And that is one of the things that I was trying to point out with this. Blue Letter Bible takes it a little further and relates it to actual believers and says the world is corrupt, vile, and cruel. We're all trying to advance, improve, make progress that we can't discover. Or should I say progress, but we can't discover the world. There is nothing we believers can rest our feet upon. So the dove, he's basically trying, or whoever wrote Blue Letter Bible, they're trying to compare the dove to believers in this very specific aspect of the fact that while the world is completely corrupt and cruel and just beyond help at this point, we're making a tiny bit of difference as believers. We are helping other people as best we can, but the world is doomed. There's nothing we can do to save it. And it's kind of already written in the Bible that the world is going to go to hell, and that equivalent to the fact is that we don't really have anywhere to rest our feet upon. So I can kind of understand what Blue Letter Bible, but in a sense too, it's kind of a little complicated if you want to think about it that way too. So let's just go past that real quick. Alright, so as it says, another week goes by and the bird is just not coming back because it has finally found a land to actually rest itself upon. And then it says, in the 601st year, okay? So the reason I kind of want to focus on that is because when I looked it up, it was almost a year later when Noah left the ark and God tells Noah to bring his family and all the animals out. So without questioning God, Noah completely opens the doors, lets all the animals out, all his family out, all the people out, and then he, in order to thank God, he builds an altar and he takes an offer. He offers some of every clean animal and some of every clean bird, and he offers that as an offering to God. Now, at the time, this was completely acceptable. Blood was considered an offering, and it changes when Jesus sheds his blood on the cross. Alright, so it says that the offering pleased God, And he made a promise to Noah to never flood the earth and destroy every living thing again. So I kind of wrote down a couple pointers I really want to point out before the end of this video. So Noah showed the believers freedom. Noah showed believers faith in sacrifice. Noah showed the believer's heart also by sacrifice. And then Noah showed the believer's covenant of mercy in light of sacrifice. So, very last verse, V20, or, whoops, I don't know the wrong part. Yes, V20 says, while the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. So this is where the 4 seasons officially becomes well known. Not only that, it also shows the profound climate and ecological changes of the earth since the flood. Now, as I explained, I think it was in Genesis 1. Let me see where it was. Or was it 1 or 2? I had kind of explained that after the flood happened, the earth kind of shifted and the land kind of shifted, which would allow certain animals to end up in certain areas, and it completely drastically changed from before the flood until after the flood. I really believe it was in Genesis 2 or 3, because I was questioning why couldn't we find Eden, and it was because Eden at one point it moved. When the flood happened, the ground plate shifted and the world really drastically changed, which is why, like I said, animals ended up in certain areas that probably weren't originally there. So I can't find it in my notes anymore. It's probably my old notebook. This one was a new notebook, and I was probably writing it in the other notebook. I was a little more completely way unorganized before I started actually writing in pencil in this one instead. But like I still said, it is still the fact that, where was I going with this for a second again? The ecological change and the climate change. So because the entire planet basically, when it flooded, everything kind of shifted. Mountains ended up in other areas, planet became separate areas, and the whole entire planet was, let me explain this a little different. The planet was one thing went before the flood. Okay, it existed one direction. But then when the flood happened, the whole entire planet kind of moved, it shifted, and all crevices opened up in order to allow all the water to completely flood the planet. So, say, for example, Australia was right. Okay, I was point this, okay? Say Australia was right here before the flood, okay? This one here. So after the flood, because everything moved around, Australia is probably more closer over here now. Okay, I'm probably not doing this correct. I'm just trying to give an idea of what it was like. Okay, the planet really shifted. It moved, so it went from that kind of sort of thing. It's not the same as things were before the flood. So the whole climate change, the whole ecological change, everything was completely different after the flood, and that is what I was trying to really kind of bring out out from chapter 4. I mean, from verse 20. I don't know why I said chapter 4. But yeah, so from the flood, the earth has completely and drastically changed, and it is not going to be the same going forward from here. So, yeah, and that is okay. 20 minutes. Okay, so anyways, that is the entire premises of chapter 20. I mean, why am I saying 20 now? Chapter 8. I am just on today. nothing is going right. Next week I will be doing chapter 9, and then of course going on with John 9 as well. Sometime between now and then, I may or may not do John 4. I'm actually considering it right now. I'm really considering doing Matthew 4. But let's go ahead and get on to John. Alright, I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.